from sunny Portland International Raceway. Joe Samaniego here. The sun came out. The weather is looking like it's going to be a little bit on the questionable side, where we're going to have rain or sunshine on race day. A lot of drivers, as you're going to hear, are talking about sunny conditions and setting up for dry conditions. Last night, though, that was wet and rainy. One of the big things, though, that did not dampen the spirit anywhere, as we saw, folks, jam-packed Kenton Station. We got all drivers there. We got to talk to the two drivers from Hucos Hollinger Racing. Here's what both of them had to say. Welcome to Pacific Northwest. A little bit rainy. How would you rate your rookie season so far, coming from Argentina, racing across America?
Oh, much better than I expected and everybody expected, honestly. It's my first ever season in an open wheel car. Really good so far. I'm P2 on the rookie championship. Of course, it's impossible to beat the P1 because Armstrong is driving a Ganassi car. But in comparison with the other rookies like me in the similar teams, we are doing a really good job. I'm really happy. Of course, I have a lot of things to learn too. It's only my first time ever in this type of cars, but I'm really happy and enjoying. But of course, I want more. I always want more, and we are looking for that.
Now we know, like Scott McLaughlin, a couple of drivers have expressed interest in racing in Argentina as well too, and the very diverse background. How much fun has it been racing an INDYCAR compared to, like, we know, like sometimes Formula 2, Formula 1, very strict paddocks. Here it seems like a lot of people get along and talk about trying different racing disciplines.
Yeah, so INDYCAR is the most demanding series in the world for the driver because it's really physical, it's really competitive, and I have to change my entire life to be here because the car is really aggressive, it's really fast. And it's amazing. It's amazing, but it's really tough. And you are always doing an exam every weekend. So I want to have a good end of the season. We have 2 races to go, and I want to do my best in these 2 races.
And with these 2 races, Portland here, very quick, short track. Overall, does this remind you of like any past tracks? Because we've heard a lot of drivers say it's a very old school track. Not a whole lot similar, time available. How do you approach this weekend?
Yeah, I just arrived. This is my first day here in Portland. I didn't know the track. Today I did some laps with the golf cart, and I surprised because the track is really narrow. It's really like old school track, and it's fun. It's fun. It looks like a really difficult track. It's a short lap too, so everybody always is really close in between the times. So it will be definitely a very challenging weekend.
And last question, as your rookie season comes to an end, what are some of the highlights you're going to remember from your rookie season here in INDYCAR?
I think definitely my top 12 finishes, top 15 sometimes. I think it was the best result so far. The second race in Iowa was extremely good, but unfortunately I finished on the wall. But the car was really good there. But I want to do some top 10s. I don't know if this year is possible, but if I have the chance to do another year, I want to battle for the top 10s and continue our improvement with the team.
Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Callum, good to see you again. I know we first chatted when you were making your debut here. Now this is your 3rd time in Portland. How excited are you for the weekend? Especially this is one of the first tracks, your 3rd visit.
Yeah, 3rd visit. It's tough track, super tight. Not a lot of corners, so that means qualifying as well is going to be tight. And the race, especially if it's a little bit wet like it's looking, turn 1's going to be a tricky one on that first lap.
Now, last time we chatted as well too, it was right before the Indianapolis 500. You had a couple good runs and to kick off the season. Season seems to have its highs and lows. How has the season been overall for the team, especially first year with a 2-car effort?
Yeah, highs and lows is a good way to sum it up. You know, it's always a bit difficult when you're expanding as a team. Some sacrifices have to be made. But we came in strong, got some good points off the bat, and then tailed off a little bit in the middle. I think there's some times where we've had a bit more potential than we've shown, and then other times where we've overachieved. But at the moment, the points are not too bad. I think this is a strong track for us normally, so that should be good to go up a little bit. and then on to Laguna. So to sum it up, it's been a tough year. I think some expectations were high after last year, and sometimes we didn't meet that, sometimes we exceeded it, and it is what it is. You've got to keep working and trying to get the most out of it.
Now, of course, INDYCAR, very competitive, very diverse background of drivers from all sorts of different disciplines. Your teammate driving from Argentina. We've known some drivers have talked about going to Argentina, trying out those stock cars. As you talk to other drivers, have you thought about trying other disciplines as well?
Yeah, I raced GTs in 2021, so I did Le Mans. Had a good run of that. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I want to go into the prototypes like GTP at some point. The stock cars, I think I'd give it a go for a bit of fun. I might even go down there at the end of the year and see what it's like in Argentina. But I like driving. That's what I enjoy. So I think later this year I'm doing the Indy 8 hours, so that'll be a bit of fun with some friends. Anything that someone has for me to drive, I'll probably say yes to.
Living the dream, traveling the world with your helmet. Final question I got to ask: when it comes to the next two races, what is sort of the goal of the team? Is it just to complete last, see where you could go and build for 2024, or is it to be a bit more aggressive and maybe try to get a podium if circumstances work out for the better?
I think this year has been one of those ones where if there's an ability to get a podium, I'm going to go for it. I don't know if we have quite the pace. Like Laguna last year, we had a lot of pace, but they've resurfaced it. So I hope we still have the same speed, because that would be good for us. But we have to see. If I have the ability and the speed, I think I'll push for it.
Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Now, that wasn't the only party last night. The Sports Bra, a famous women's sports bar here that shows women's sports, they had Jamie Chadwick over for a meet and greet. Here's what Jamie had to tell us about racing in Indy next. Jamie Chadwick, welcome to Portland. How excited is it to be here at the Sports Bra, where we know you just signed a jersey that's going to be hung up here?
Yeah, really cool. It's a nice warm welcome to Portland. First time here. Really enjoying it. Happy to see so many people that are going to be coming to the race as well this weekend. So, looking forward to it.
Now, you just completed your first night race. How have you enjoyed racing in the United States, especially the ovals, some of the night races, and some of the fans here in the United States?
Yeah, I've honestly really enjoyed this year. It's been one of, I didn't know what to expect going into it, but obviously it's all new, but at the same time I've loved every second of it, and it's been really, really fun to experience so much different parts of America, learn some of the different types of racing as well. We've obviously got street tracks, road courses, which I'm used to, but then the ovals, which have been new, which have been fun. I've only had the two of them under my belt, but I feel like I learned a huge amount on both of them and enjoyed them ultimately, so looking forward to more.
Now, of course, with Portland, there's not a whole lot of track simulators with Portland. How challenging does that make, and does it remind you of any past tracks you raced in Europe?
Yeah, there's a few sort of parts that are similar to tracks in Europe. The thing that's quite unique here is it goes from being really wide to really narrow to really wide in a few places. I've not driven it, I've done it a little bit on the simulator, so tomorrow we'll be just trying to get up to speed, and I think it's a fun track, so a bit more road course-like to what I'm used to, so looking forward to it.
And the last question, we know overall rookie season is always a learning curve, especially going from what you were doing the W Series to now Indy next. How would you rate your rookie season, and what do you think about these cars and how it's very different?
Yeah, it's very different, and I've enjoyed it. It's not been easy. I think if I had to rate it, I probably wouldn't want to, but at the same time, I'm really happy with the amount we've progressed, the amount we've learned. We're genuinely fighting now in the top 10, and ultimately I want to be up towards the top 5, but I feel like that progress is starting to happen now, which is the main thing.
Jamie Chadwick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, Indy next, they did have their practice today. Christian Rasmussen was the fastest. He's trying to get the championship wrapped up. Jamie Chadwick a little further down the grid. But overall, it's going to be really interesting to see how the race aims up. We also saw Christian Lundgaard fastest in practice today. He was up front. Kyle Kirkwood, second place, and third place, Alex Palou. One battle we don't know how it's going to turn out. The battle for third place. We saw Pato Award, fourth place. Josef Newgarden, 10th place. Scott McLaughlin 16th, and Scott Dixon in 18th place. So not a good start for Scott McLaughlin. He's hoping to rebound tomorrow. One of the big things, of course, with this battle, if Scott Dixon was to have a bad race weekend, you could potentially see third place go up for second place. One of the big things, we did get to talk to Scott Dixon and a bunch of drivers. Here's what they all had to say at the media bullpen. Scott Dixon, welcome back to Portland. You got a couple podiums here. What is your anticipation for the weekend? Is this something to try to catch up to Alex Palou?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're in a good situation with the team, especially. With it, only being the chance of INDYCAR to win the championship is definitely great for the team. And we're in a bit of a no man's land of points-wise, so there's an outside chance of going for the championship, but he's got a pretty big buffer. So yeah, for us, it's kind of the fun situation to just go for race wins and see what we can pull off.
Now, you mentioned going for race wins. Of course, the first corner, first lap, been pretty chaotic, but last year a pretty clean start. Any anticipation for this year, especially since it looks like the championship, it's really that battle between third place that seems to be the big one going on.
Yeah, I think the turn one situation is always hard to tell how it's going to go, right? It only takes one kind of mistake or one sort of mishap and it can take out half the field or put us in a situation for reordering the cars. So I've been on both sides of it. I think it's fun. I think there was a lot of talk of getting rid of the chicane for the start, which I'm glad they didn't, because I think it's definitely one of the more intense parts for starts and restarts, which is a lot of fun for everybody. So just try and keep it clean, man. That's what you can try to do.
And last question, of course, you got a milestone win this last race weekend from your first race win over at Nazareth, then Card Pac West. Could you imagine that your career, especially going after another champion, I know it's a little bit out of reach, but still mathematically you got a shot at it. Is this something where it's just beyond your wildest dreams, or are you still motivated, like, I got a lot more I want to get to more records?
Always motivated, I think just by the depth of the field and the competition, especially of late, it's a lot of fun. A win always helps as well, I think help kind of promote that. No, I don't think I ever thought this was possible, 55 wins later, or 54 later after the first one, it's a pretty special moment, and I think what we did at Indy Road Course was pretty cool, just on getting the Ironman record and doing it and winning it in that fashion was pretty special. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully we can keep adding to it.
Scott Dixon, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you, cheers.
Feeling good. I think, it's nice to be back on the West Coast. It's a fun place to be. Weather's pretty nice. It was a little rainy yesterday, but good to be back.
Now, Hunter, one of the things, Portland, a lot of people anticipate rain. It's been quite a few years since we had rain during the weekend. During the track walk, was that something trying to gain information in case we do have a wet Sunday?
Yeah, obviously it's you look at the water puddles and things like that. It's weird. It kind of looks off and on right now. It's not 100% certain it's going to rain. It looks like it's clearing up a bit, but we'll see. You know the weather better than I do around here. I'm not sure. I'll probably have to ask you what it's going to do, but we're learning and trying to obviously prepare as best as possible.
Now, overall, how will you rate your season, especially as we're starting to get towards the end here at Portland?
I would say, it's been, in some ways, we've been very consistent. I would have wanted to win some more races, obviously, but we've still got 3 races to go, and I think there's a lot to unfold, a lot of points in offer. So looking forward to it and see what happens.
Hunter, best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.
Josh, I know yesterday we talked before you did the track walk. The track walk was wet yesterday. Does that make a big difference? Because right now it is pretty sunny out there.
It doesn't make a huge difference for the track walk. If anything, it just gives us a better reference of what to talk about in case it rains, which, it's looking like we might have some on Sunday. So, I think it was useful for it to be wet, although we got a bit wet ourselves and we're cold. I think it's probably more beneficial to do a wet track walk. The dry lines always really generally stay the same, whereas when the track is wet, you're picking out, what has the least amount of puddles and what you think might have be the grippiest lines. So I think actually it's sometimes better to do the track walk in the wet, because the dry line will always stay generally the same, and we have a lot of video for that. So we can always walk the dry line no matter if it's dry or wet. So not a huge deal for us. No, I think we'll be good going into the race the same way, and I think we'll be okay no matter what.
Now, for fans not familiar with the Indy Next Series, if you set up a car for potentially wet conditions, does that compromise a lot, considering it might be dry conditions by the time we do qualifying?
Yeah, we'll always set up a car generally for the dry, especially like this right now. We know it's going to be dry for the majority of the weekend, and I don't think we'll really change much from the dry setup. We can do minor adjustments for the wet that can help, but usually we don't base a setup around the wet in general. We just have a bunch of adjustments we can make in the car, and small ones we can make to the dampers and whatnot before we go out in the rain to kind of give us a little bit of an advantage. But yeah, I think we'll definitely set up a car for the dry here this weekend because the majority of our session should be dry.
And then last question, I know you've raced in the wet before, especially endurance racing. Is that something where you feel like that could be a big advantage for you if we do see wet conditions on Sunday?
I've raced in the rain quite frequently, not as much in a car as I have in a go-kart. And, in karting, the rain is much easier and there's not as much consequence. So it's easier to be quick in a go-kart in the rain. I've had quite a bit of experience now in a car in the wet, but it's difficult every time you show up to a new track. The one thing about rain is it's ever changing, and the track conditions could be worse than they have been in the past, could be better. You just never know. So it's all about driving to the grip and trying to see who can find it the fastest.
Josh, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you.
Of course, thank you very much.
We're taking a grid penalty here because of an engine change, so not ideal to start further back when it's wet, but I'll roll with it, whichever way it goes.
Now, one of the big things is just seems like with racing, strategies could change in an instant. When it comes to making a strategy here, knowing that there's a potential of that first lap caution, is that something a factor, or is it just something where we just primarily go with like green flag and they sort of run that backwards fuel mileage?
It depends. If we're if we're in the back with the grid penalty from the engine change, then I'll try and pick up some spots from what is usually a chaotic first corner. So we'll see. Last year was clean though, so you can't really depend on that.
And last question, the engine change potentially starting the back of the pack, is that almost a little bit advantage if things go crazy in that first corner?
Yeah, it could be. It could be an opportunity to pick up some scraps and get through it clean.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
Christian Lundgaard, welcome to Portland. This year it seems like a roller coaster from the lows at Indianapolis to then the highs again, that first win. How will you remember this season? Is this starting to become feeling more like a rebuilding for the team?
Yeah, I think we got to look at the positives that we've had this season, but at the same time, I think we got to look realistically at it as well, and kind of understand that we haven't been as fast on ovals as we need to be. But other than that, we definitely made great progress, and having a win, having 3 poles as a team, basically swept the IndyGP for poles. So we have another 2 road courses to go here in Portland and Laguna, and we know we'll be fast here. So it's about executing.
Now, you did a mid-season debut for INDYCAR a few years ago. Now you got a teammate making his debut here. Was there any advice that you shared, especially coming from mid-season and just being thrown into essentially a first race weekend?
Yeah, also because I got history with him. I've known him for a long time, and kind of tried to prepare him as best as I can from some of the struggles that I had to go through, and just bring him up to pace. And this is sort of one of the easier tracks, at least. So, and we know we have a good car here, so I think he has potential to have a great top 5 this weekend. So, he's got to go out there and prove it. But I know he'll be fast.
Now, last year you were having a pretty good race, and then we saw a little bit of addition to festival corners. Is this a track where, as you mentioned, good pace, potential podium, or even is the win something you're looking for?
I think the 45 high V car has definitely got potential to win the race. We were, I wouldn't necessarily say contenders for pole last year. I think the Penske's had pace on everybody, but we were the next car in line. We were the best of the rest, and we didn't manage to execute in the race. We struggled on our pit stops. I ended up stalling in one pit stop, and obviously getting frustrated from that, made a big mistake that cost us a top 10. So I'm a lot more race smart this year, a lot more mature. So I definitely think we do have a chance of winning this race.
Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Portland. Very interesting. You're from the area, grew up in the Seattle region, but only really just that Indy Lights race here, now Indy NXT. But you got that win here. How are you feeling about the weekend, especially potential mixed conditions?
Yeah, really excited. Last year was a fantastic year for us here. We won from pole, fast every session. So only difference now, different car, different team. it's a beautiful Pacific Northwest day today. So we'll see what happens, but really enjoy this place, enjoy the local energy, and yeah, just excited to be here in an IndyCar.
Now, I know a couple of weeks ago we interviewed, then the next day it was announced the technical lines with Penske and AJ Foyt Racing. How exciting, and is that something motivating for the team? Like, hey, let's go out there, try to have some good race weekends.
It's very exciting for sure. It's still very early days, figuring out how to leverage it in the most transparent way possible. And yeah, it's still very early days. It's not to the full level of support quite yet, but it's in the works. And yeah, just looking to finish this year really strong.
And finishing the year strong, we know for a smaller team, how does that look like? Is that a couple top 10 finishes, or just trying to complete all the laps and finish the races?
I think for us, it's an ever-changing target. There's race weekends like Indy 500 or Road America where we're pretty much in the Fast Six, and then there's other weekends where we're struggling to transfer. So we'll know after practice 1, but I think anything inside top 10, top 15 would be a huge result for us. Yeah, just looking to finish the best way possible.
Benjamin Pedersen, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
We know one of the big things we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about the rookie season, completed Gateway. Now you're here. Is this something where it's just starting to focus on, okay, let's finish the laps, or is it something where do something special since this is sort of your home race?
I would like to do something special. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, this track has historically been one of my better ones. I qualified on pole for the first time ever in my racing career here in cars, and why couldn't we do the same? I think that would be super cool to do in front of a home crowd with all of our friends and family here, but I think the program is still the same. We're just going to keep working on the little things, and hopefully by checking all the boxes, we'll get some success.
Now, when it comes to 2024, of course, a lot of stuff unknown, but overall, are you pretty excited, feeling upbeat about the potential for next year?
Yeah, I think so. There's some bigger names that still have to fall in places, and then I'll settle in where I can there, but I'm excited about it. I think that we're in a good spot to be in the car for next season, and this year it wasn't the result that I wanted. I thought that we had more in it, more to give, but I think that rookie season, there's a lot to learn. So going into next year, I have better expectations. I know what to expect from each weekend. I know what the tracks are like. I know what the car's like. And so I think that'll help me a lot in my success next season.
Now, of course, being from the Pacific Northwest, yesterday pretty wet, dark. Now it's nice and sunny, but there's a potential for maybe rain tomorrow. Do you have a preference where you feel like maybe the wet is better for you, or is there something where, depending on the sun and how qualifying goes, do you have a preference on conditions?
I always like the rain. I don't know what these cars are like too much the rain. We got a little practice in Nashville when it rained there, but I've heard it's interesting with the aero screen. I think it can be a little difficult to see with other cars out there, but just adds to the excitement, and IndyCar racing is always going to be good.
Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
David Malukas, welcome back. Last time we chatted, you got to the pole for the Indy Lights. Now, a couple seasons into the IndyCar series, how would you say everything has gone since we first chatted after you got pole in Indy Lights?
It's been definitely, we had a rookie season for sure, and there's been many ups and downs, but we've had some good results here and there, and we've had some good showings, and overall I've enjoyed it. I've kind of made my stamp in IndyCar, and I've had a good time.
Now, last weekend, you got a lot of people talking with your performance at Gateway. Is there just something about that oval where it just seems like it really suits your driving style? And is this something where you feel like you like to see more ovals?
Yeah, it's, I love that track. Even through before IndyCar and into Indy Next, it was, we've always had podiums there. It's something a track that we've had a lot of success on, and I absolutely enjoy it every single lap, and it just seems like I can click very well with it, with the driving style and the strategy to it. So yeah, it feels very good to get another podium, and so far it's like every time I've gone there, I haven't left it. So.
Now, not a lot of folks know about your plans for next year. When it comes to that, are you just going out there to focus on doing what's best for the team, or is there something where we know a lot of drivers, when they're in the silly season rumor mill, they want to get those strong results to sort of, look, this is what I'm capable of when it comes to whatever they're going 2024?
Yeah, next season looks very good for us. Obviously I can't say anything from my end of what's happening, but I'm excited. It's the next step for my career and my future, and I can't wait to get it started. It'll be fun.
David Malukas, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Josef Newgarden, good to see you again. I know Gateway didn't exactly go as you wanted, but overall with the Indy 500 the wins, how will you remember this season?
Yeah, I think from the season standpoint, the 500 was a great highlight for us, and then everything else was maybe not super smooth. It was definitely not a smooth year, but we've had some good points to it, and I'll enjoy that. And I think for us, just coming back to the track this weekend is good fun to try and get another win.
Now you're in an interesting battle now with Paddle Awards, Scott McLaughlin, who's next to us, for third place, but there's still potentially second place depending on what happens to Scott Dixon. Does that change your approach to this weekend?
No, I don't think so. I mean, a little self-inflicted on where we've fallen 2 points wise. So, we'll just got to try and put together clean races, I think, these last two, and hopefully that'll be a good spot for us.
Josef Newgarden, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Hello again. Instead of being a noisy bar, we're at a noisy racetrack, but overall, much sunnier day. What are you anticipating for tomorrow?
Should be good. We had a good car here last year, competitive, so we need to see if we can replicate that.
Now, of course, fast car, qualifying, but then, of course, that first corner. Is that something where you feel like there's some sort of advantage depending on where you start? Because now this is your third time here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the middle, it's always a bit hectic. I think even last year proved that the guys at the front still overdo it a little bit. Yeah, it's a bit of a lottery, I'd say.
Now, last question. We know when it comes to this year, there's been the ups and downs. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. What's some of the things you're going to take away from this season, especially as you're doing some other races next year?
We've been the biggest mover by far. So from starting point to finishing point, we've moved the most places up by anyone. I can't speak. Better than anyone. So that's a big bonus for us. Shows we've got good race pace, good strategy. Just need to improve the qualifying for next year.
Thank you so much for your time. As always, best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Jüri Phillips, welcome to Portland. Overall, you're making your season debut. Well, first IndyCar race here in Portland. How excited about you for this track?
Yeah, very excited. Just to get back in a race car, it's so nice for me. I've been my last race was end of last year in Abu Dhabi in November, so just super excited to get back in a race car again. And very grateful for Bobby and Mike and everyone for the opportunity.
Now, we talked to Christian Lundgaard, your teammate, earlier. You two go back. Has he shared some advice? And what do you think of the paddock so far? Because we heard people say it's very different from Formula 2, Formula 1, where it's very secretive to hear. A lot of folks seem to just chat and casually get to know each other.
Yeah, it is so different. And yeah, Christian's definitely helped me, just a little bit of advice on like how to approach things and how, what to sort of expect on an IndyCar weekend. But so my first race was Long Beach that I attended, but I came to Mid-Ohio as well, just to see how everything is. But yeah, it's such a different environment to Europe. I really like it here. It's very open, I feel, the paddock, and I really like that. The fans get to surround themselves with the cars and really get close to the tents and see how the team operates and see the cars up close. Whereas, like the Formula 1, Formula 2 paddock is quite closed. So I really like that aspect and, really liking it so far. Now just looking forward to getting on track.
Now, one of the popular forms of racing in the United States, oval speedway racing. We know that's not the most common type of racing in Europe. Do you have thoughts on maybe someday an oval race?
I'm hoping to get a seat for next year. That's my main mission. But I'm really looking forward to them. Actually, I've obviously never driven one, but as the more onboard data I look at oval racing, the more I hear about it, the more I start to like it. So I hope one day I could do them.
Now, last question. We know Estonia, of course, you, Oitanek from World Rally Championship. We've talked about Finland. Estonia doesn't seem to be talked about a lot. How is the racing scene there? Is that something where we're going to start seeing more drivers from Estonia in these racing series?
I hope so. I think for the size of the country we are, if you compare us to Finland, we're at least 10 times smaller, So, we've already... My manager was in BMW, a test driver. I was a reserve driver, and we got Oitanek, who was, the best, I think, in the history of Estonian motorsports. Winning the Rally World Championship. I think for the size of the country we are, we're done pretty well. But I hope for generations to come, this will continue.
Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
So be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network right here on YouTube. Don't miss any of our coverage from Portland International Raceway throughout the race weekend. We'll be here all weekend long.